Hi, I'm Holly McNeil, and welcome to another episode of Pay Attention, where we're learning to pay attention to the hidden influences in our body and mind from moment to moment. And everyone starts on this journey at a different point. Unfortunately, a lot of people have to kind of hit rock bottom before they decide they want to find something better, before they question what's going on and why their lives are happening in the way that they're happening. And you may recall the first guest I had right out of the new year was Sarah Davison, the divorce coach. And I brought her on right away because divorce, as she said, is the second kind of most traumatic thing in life besides losing someone. And it really does start a lot of people on their journey. And today I have another guest talking that, I love the synchronicity of this journey. I'm a big believer that what comes along is meant to be. Everything's happening for a reason. And my beautiful neighbor, Tiffany, moved in like 3 or 4 years ago, and she went through almost exactly what I've gone through. And from that, she's created something amazing, which I'm going to let her talk to you about. I've introduced her to Sarah. They're collaborating. It's actually a beautiful story. We learn a lot from what we've been through. And Tiffany's here today to share her story and what her journey looked like, and to talk to maybe listeners out there who might be stuck or along in this journey. And then we're going to talk about what she decided to do with it. So welcome, Tiffany. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm just so I don't know, I've got so much emotion that you and I live across the cul-de-sac from each other, and
Yeah,
here we are today talking. So
yeah.
welcome.
Thank you for having me. And I feel so blessed to be here and so proud of you. This is amazing, seeing all of
Yeah.
the work that you're doing and the podcast and all the other exciting things that you're doing to help
Yes, we've
others.
we've been supporting each other the last 3 or 4 years. So tell us a little bit about your story, about kind of how you got to where you are and what you're doing about it.
My story is I was in a financially and emotionally abusive marriage. I'm a mother to four daughters, and my ex-husband, he was the sole breadwinner. I was a stay-at-home mom, and at some point, I always wanted to go back to work. My goal is always to go back to work and not have to be solely dependent on a man. And that happened like after I had my first two kids, and I went back to school to become a therapist.
Right.
And I think it was through that journey that I started recognizing things about myself, and I was growing and I was changing, which was not a good thing for my ex partner because I would hear it all the time. Oh, you've changed. I didn't change. And so I think that really shifted the dynamic of our marriage. Then fast forward, I started school, pregnant, got pregnant with my third daughter, pregnant with my fourth daughter, but I'm like, I'm going to keep going.
They're great kids, by the way.
Well, thank you. And so by the time I think my youngest was, she's like two, things were kind of going bad anyway. But by the time she turned two, there was really a really horrible thing that happened between him and I, and he really betrayed me, and I filed for divorce.
Okay.
And it really rocked my world. I couldn't believe this person. Even though things weren't great, I didn't think he would betray me. Like I put so much trust into him.
Mhm.
And so I had to file for divorce, and then we had to go to court, and the judge just kind of threw out everything that he had said about me. He told lies on me. At that point, he's just like, please, I just want to work it out. And I wanted to work it out for my family, right? But I did kind of want to leave, but I'm like, how could I leave? I don't have money. Like, how do I support myself and my kids on? Because at that time, I'd started working part time as a therapist, and it wasn't to like support the family, it was just to kind of have a little extra money here, there for myself, right? So I couldn't leave. So I rescinded the divorce, and he's, no, let's work it out. Da, da, da. So then a year later, he got a job. No, actually, that fall, he got a job here in Orange County. And he was like, should I take the job? And I really encouraged him to take it because I really needed that separation from him. And so he would be here during the week, come home on the weekend. And then finally, he's like, we have to move to Orange County. So sold our home, and it was very heartbreaking because you know, our whole community was back there, and we had established a life there for our daughters and myself, our friends, and it was just devastating. And it was during COVID.
Right.
So we moved here. Thankfully, I met you for sure, and some other neighbors here. So it's been great. But we were here during COVID, and it was probably one of the worst years of my life with him. And the following year, he ended up moving out. It would have been him or I, because I was looking to move. So he moved out, and I filed for divorce again. And by that time, some other things had started happening with the money as well. We sold our home, and he like took the money that was supposed to be split amongst us, and I don't even know where the money went. It went to an
Wow.
account that he didn't even tell me about,
Wow.
and then it became all you care about is money. And so he's a lot of gaslighting, making me feel like I'm like, no, I don't care about money, but like he's making me like crazy, right? Like I
Hmm.
need to change, I need to do this, or and it was all gaslighting. And I was at such a low point, and I just was like, I'm going to do this, but I didn't have it in me to fight. And so he came back probably a week later. Let's not break up. Da, da, da. I'm going to move back in. Of course, I took him back because I'm still a little scared, right? Like,
Hmm.
how am I going to pay for things? I don't have money. And the type of person he is, I figured he would be really dirty in court. And I just didn't have the fight in me.
Hmm.
So then comes back, we're not living together, but we're trying to put things together as a family, do things as a family. And then, you know, he was not giving me money, still making me like gaslighting me. And then I found out through my daughter, we all found out that he was seeing some woman that he lied to us and told us it was his cousin. And then I just had to, a woman we know, like our intuition instinct. I'm like, no, like something's going on. And I would tell him, look, we're separated. Like, I know we're working towards being a family. But if you or I decide to see somebody, like, let's be open and honest and tell each other.
Hmm.
He couldn't do that, obviously. So I filed for divorce again the third time. And by that time, I felt like, okay, I think I'm strong enough. I wasn't totally strong, but I'm like, I think I'm strong enough to fight.
Hmm.
Because my whole thing was like I knew I was going to have to fight dealing with this type of personality. He is a classic narcissistic like personality disorder, like DSM, like that's him.
Yeah. Let me
So
ask you. Let me ask you. So, did it help? I mean, a lot of our listeners out there, and one of the things that Sarah mentioned is that people do go back.
yeah,
And how did you feel when you went back? How did you?
it was like and I the whole nervous system, like a lot of people talk about that. It's like you have to pay attention to your body. It's like that roller coaster that you're on, it
Mhm.
feels normal because it's like,
Right.
oh, and they come back like, okay, now I can rest and relax. But then when they're there, like, there's still that anxiousness. Like, you're still feeling worried and, like, are they going to do this again or aren't they?
And what is it that made you think that you to finally find the courage? It was just enough, or
It was enough. And he got so ugly. It just was like, I knew he was capable of being a horrible person, but I didn't trust him. I did not trust him. I literally felt like sleeping with the enemy. Even when I went back to him the first time, I felt like I had to look over my shoulder, which was really different.
Mhm.
Was really different because I couldn't trust him.
So when I talked with Sarah, we talked about the kind of the before, and a lot of people, so you could see it, right? But
Yeah.
it was just hard to get out the financial
Yes.
question of it,
That
and
was a
the
huge,
kids
huge factor.
and the
The money.
kids involved, and but you knew what was coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's important for people out there that it is a tough road, right, to go, and it's why it's so traumatic. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, you finally did go ahead and get divorced.
Yeah. And that was that whole experience. It took about what, a year and a half, 2 years to about a year and a half to finalize everything. But it was a battle, what everything I went through. It was really horrible. And I've seen myself kind of just grow from this person that just, because I got really low, and that's not really me. Like, I literally, I don't feel like I had any anxiety for
Mhm.
about a good maybe 8 or 10 years. Like, I wasn't anxious, but after all this happened, I started feeling really anxious and went into a really bad, horrible depression, and just really questioned myself, like just felt really bad about myself. And then I just kind of went through the process. And, for me, my faith in God was really what helped me, because
Mhm.
on days that I really wanted to give up, I had to turn to my faith. And so that was really important to me. And then having supportive friends like you and family, that was really essential to me just coming to the place that I'm at right now.
Yeah, it is just so important for anyone out there. As Sarah said, if you have a healthy relationship, you can work these things out. But when it's not healthy, you have to recognize that when they start to lose that control, they're going to fight back. And so self self care at that time and self
Yeah.
compassion. And I mean, you're dealing with four young girls that are struggling with this as well. But it's
Yeah.
important to know that you're not alone in
Yeah.
this, right? And so that's what you when you decided to do something about it. So tell us about your nonprofit that you created.
Yeah. So FEME is a nonprofit that I started for women who have been financially and emotionally abused. So mothers actually who've been financially and emotionally abused and are in that divorce/separation stage, and they just need that support. They need, whether it's financially support with, speaking to other women. And it's a network. We've created a network. It's kind of like a little app. So, the women that are in the network, it's a private network that they can, ask questions, and, we post lives, and, just things that resources for them so they can get, move forward, and help them as they go through their divorce or separation. And then there's also, a financial component. So, we're offering them grants as well, but it's kind of like an experience thing. So they have to go through, the stages before they get to the grant, like, listening to a podcast, or, watching, a financial seminar or something that we've posted in the network. So things like that. And just helping them during that time, because I know for me, that is what helped me get through, having the support, and meeting other women who like you. And because honestly, moving here, like prior to moving here, none of my friends were divorced. Like
Mhm.
everybody's still even now, like I'm the first and only friend of like all my core friend groups out there that is divorced. And
Mhm.
so coming here, like I met women who were divorced or single mothers, and had gone through something similar as me. And so that was like a connection for me. And then also just the financial side of it, I really struggled, and I mean, I had thankfully, like my family helped me and friends, but you know, there were times where I just like needed some support like right away. And so I had to reach out to like a Catholic church and they helped me. Or, you know, like you can't, for me, you know, I'm not like on the poor end, like, you know, but I'm not on the, like, I don't make a ton of money. So as far as government resources, I couldn't get anything,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And not that I would want to use it to be on forever, but just I think we need like some sort of boost to help us just kind of launch, right? Because the divorce process takes a while. Like as soon as you file for divorce, it's going to be at least 3 months. And so in that 3 months,
At the very
if
least.
yeah, if your spouse or you know, your ex-spouse or partner leaves and they take all the money, then and you haven't worked, especially because a lot of the women, you know, that I'm our demographic, they've been a stay-at-home mom. So imagine they haven't worked in years, so how can they support their family?
Right. Right. That's how they keep, that's how the husbands or the ex-husbands keep control financially and through the children.
Absolutely.
And so I just think that's amazing that you turn this around and you and I'm happy to that I was here for you and
Yeah.
that you've
Thank you.
turned this around and made a place for people to go and you know to get information and to help them and do you work with people that are still together in the relationship or that are
No, they're either going through the divorce process
mhm,
and or separated. Yeah.
mhm, okay.
Because the thing is, like the whole thing about going back and forth, right? And
Mhm,
so that's initially I'm like, okay, I just want to give money, but like how do we know like they're not going to go back? And so this is like a way like they're in the experience, like they're in the network for a little. We don't just give them the money right away. Like, you know, let's see what's how they're invested in theme because at the end of the day, like, you know, when they're done, like we want them to eventually give back and help with theme, right?
right.
Which the ladies that, you know, I've selected, they've all wanted to help. They've all asked initially, how can I help? You know, and so I think in the end, they will, you know, help in some capacity with theme and give back.
Right. Well, you know, when you're in that stage where you're, you know, deciding when you go and come back, and sometimes people work it out, and that's fine, right? But you're
Yeah.
saying what your organization does is for people that are in the middle of it
Yeah.
and just needing that support and help. And yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Because it's a form of abuse, right? Like these
Yeah,
women have been abused, right?
yeah,
Financially and emotionally, which is a form of domestic violence. So the hope is that they don't go back, right?
right,
Like,
right.
you
Yeah,
know,
and that's a good point. You know, it's hard to see it, you know,
yeah,
because when you're under someone's control, they they're nicer to you, right? It's much more subtle.
yeah,
And as you
yeah,
said, you're like, maybe it's not so bad, or you know, maybe it's me, all the gaslighting that can
yes,
go on.
a lot.
That yeah. And it makes you question yourself
Yeah,
and wonder if it's you, right?
yeah,
And but you know, a true test of that, and sadly, is when you say no, I'm done, and you see what happens, right?
absolutely. And
That
you see that the gaslighting, like it was really them.
mhm,
They were the ones who are all about this and the things that they were projecting onto you.
mhm. Oh, that's great. That's great. And the other thing that Sarah talked about was even post separation abuse, right?
Yes,
People think, you know, you don't live with them anymore. It's all fine, but it's that reaching in and still trying to control, and yeah, that can be really wearing. So
yeah. And I'm still going through that, as you know, and it
yeah,
just, you know, at no point did I really even, because people are like, oh, it'll get better. But I just, the type of person he is, I just didn't feel like it would get better. There, you know, there would be moments of calmness, like in the calmness, which I mean, like, you don't hear from them. They're just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Right, right.
Like, they're not bothering me. They're not messaging me. But then, like something's going to come up. And, even today, like I'm going through something yet again with him. And so it never ends. So I think just having the tools to get through it and just, having the support.
How old are your daughters?
8, 10, almost 15, and 16 and a half.
Right, right. Well, so for the listeners out there, my children, my two boys, and I mentioned in the episode with Sarah that I'm very grateful to have the relationship I do have with them after
Yeah.
the 8-year battle that I went through and the subsequent alienation and reconnecting. But it does actually it ends when when the kids grow up. My boys are
Yeah.
27 and 29 now, and I'm just so appreciative every day to have that
Mhm.
relationship with them. And I hardly ever hear or see from my ex-husband now. So there is a time
Yeah.
eventually, and it seems like it's going to last forever. I remember I had a neighbor where I lived in Minnesota, and we had our sons were the same age, and we had she'd been divorced as well. And there's 5 years, and I put this Google Calendar. I sent her an invite for 5 years from now. When we could celebrate that, our sons are old enough and adults. And now that was, almost 10 years ago. So
Wow.
yeah, it actually, it seems like it's going to last forever. But as we talked about, Tiffany, the most important thing is to support yourself and to learn from it, right?
Yeah.
As Sarah
Hmm.
talked about as well, there's only needs to be one healthy parent,
Yes.
as
That's
healthy as you can be in that situation. And like I said, I wish I could have been healthier, and we do the best we can to
hmm
help our children through this.
Yes.
And so if you are in that situation, it does, kids grow up and it'll go faster than you think. So really be kind to yourself and support yourself. And it's that negative self-talk and those depressions that you can fall in
Yeah.
that can get you stuck and keep you there. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree.
Right. So
Yeah.
recognizing that it's a tough situation. It's a really, really hard situation to be in.
Yeah.
And so I've also, I'm on the board
Yes,
for
you are.
FEME.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I'll volunteer some of my services as well, my talks. But
Yeah.
it's important to keep that compassion going, knowing that you're doing the best that you can, and that your kids will see that.
Yeah.
If you can, stay in a kind place, and just live by example. And of course, if you mess up, also give yourself, some forgiveness and
Yeah.
understanding. So.
Absolutely. And you hit it right on the nail about the self-care. I think that's another thing too that really helped. Like once I started, because when you're depressed, you just, I mean, like I literally felt like I'm like, I want to die. Like, like not that I would actually do like kill myself, but I felt like I wanted to die. And with that, I slowly just was like, I don't care what I eat. Like I could eat this or whatever, and I don't care. Like
Yeah.
I really got to that point. And it wasn't until I shifted and said, you know what? Nope. I got to get myself together,
Hmm.
or, throwing old stuff away, trying to look my normal self, get back to myself or get back to who I was, who
Or
was
who
I
you're
before?
becoming, right? Or who you're becoming.
Absolutely. Yeah. A better version of my younger self.
Right.
And this is who I am now. Right. And self care, like doing things for yourself and not feeling selfish. Right. And so, and
Right.
that's what we're
Right.
doing with these women in theme, because like around the holidays, we've asked each of them to create a wish list. Right. And so we made it a point. Don't make a wish list for your kids. Although
Right.
some of them,
Right.
I think, included something for their kids, but it's mainly things for them, right?
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
as soon as we get like an extra dollar or whatever, like we want to give back, give it for our kids, right?
Right.
And so it's important, like, okay, that's good, but like, what about me? Because
Mm-hmm.
if I show up for myself and I take care of myself, I'm going to be a better parent.
Right. Right. Self-care is not selfish. Right.
Yep.
So yeah, I think this topic we could go on forever, but let the viewers know how to get a hold of Theme or donate or what they can do, or if they want to donate, or if they feel the need for help, how do they reach out to Theme?
Yeah. So you can go to www.themerevived.org. So you can go there and click on there's a donations link and you can make a donation. If you need support, there's a space on the website where it says I need support. You can fill that out and then, kind of go through the steps to see if you're eligible to be a part of FEAM in the network. So that would be helpful. And if you want to volunteer or get involved, I think there's a link there too. You can sign up there. And also, like I said, right now we've had the ladies create a wish list. So if anyone wants to help, with their wish list, I think I'd probably have to put the link on. It's not on the website, so I'd have to give you the link or email it to you, and you could post it. But yeah, so that's how if anyone
Lovely,
wants.
lovely. Well, sadly, this episode probably won't air until after Christmas, so
Okay.
after their wish list. But yeah, definitely, if you're out there and you need help,
Yes.
go to the website, and I think Tiffany, she'll review your application, and yeah, you're not alone.
Yes. You're
This
not
is
alone.
this is a situation a lot of people go through. So.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So thank you, Tiffany, the founder of Theme, for being here today, a great neighbor, and her kids are lovely. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to be
You're
here.
welcome. You're welcome. And thank you, listeners, for being here. I hope this was helpful. And yeah, remember that you're not alone. We're on this journey together. So I will see you again at the next episode of Pay Attention.